Good morning, everybody. This is Polly from mindbodysoulspirit.com, coming to you on this sunny morning from England. And I wanted to talk to you today about self-care and self-love and the difference between those two things and how we can go about facilitating them and building it into our daily lives. And why is it even important? It really is. I really believe it is. So, self-care, it's not the same as self-love. Self-care, for me, are the seeds. We plant the seeds of self-care so that we can nurture them and water them and feed them, that can grow into self-love. So self-love is the blooming, beautiful flower that we get at the end, where we are in a natural state of offering ourselves self-love. So yeah, two different things. Self-care, it's almost like general maintenance for our bodies, in the same way that you put oil in your car and clean your house to keep it running and effectively. It's all those things. It's healthy eating, it's having movement in our life every day, it's being in nature and being in touch and grounding ourselves in the beauty that's around us in the natural world. And it's even the boring stuff, just like cleaning your teeth and getting out of bed in the morning and brushing your hair and getting ready and feeling presentable to the world, and paying your bills, making sure you're organised and life's not getting on top of you. All those things are self-care, keeping your life just running on a nice equilibrium. And all those things are like the bedrock and the foundation to self-love. So without putting in self-care, we can't expect self-love to grow within ourselves, for ourselves. Self-care, is the foundation. So we've really got to start with putting all those things in place before we get to that point of self-love. And for some of you, you will have certain things that you really like about yourself already. And some of you will be sat there thinking, like I have, I can't think of anything that I like about myself. I've been at a point and been so low that I can't think of one positive thing about me. But I promise you that when you meditate, just sit still in the moment with your breath, and something will come to you. Sit with the thought of, what do I like about myself most? And it can be something as simple as the way you care for your pet, the way you have a passion for reading, the way you always stop and take time for those less fortunate. It could be the way you have positivity in difficult situations and are a cup half full person. There'll be something. Everybody's got something. So even if you're feeling in that fog of despair, where you're really not liking anything about yourself, find one thing. That's the challenge, to find one thing, and then grow from that. And then the next day, ask yourself to find two things, and then keep building on it until you've got this little repertoire inside of all the things you actually really quite like about yourself. And the more you repeat it every day as a practice, the more that sort of starts to become your inner script of who you are, and starts to add into this nurturing environment that turns into self-love of oneself. That inner voice thing is really important, in as much that we all have that inner voice, and we don't always know that it's there, and you have to stop and listen, and you have to stop and be aware, and sometimes you need the quietness to hear that, and sometimes again that comes from meditation. But if you stop yourself and be quiet when you look in the mirror and ask yourself what your inner voice is saying to you. I've been so guilty of that with the mirror one, in terms of physical appearance, in terms of every time you look in the mirror, it's not really natural for most of us to go, hey, I'm looking great today, and we tend to look at the first thing we don't like about ourselves. You know, the fact that your boobs are too saggy, or your bum's not as pert as you want it to be, or you haven't lost the weight that you wanted to lose, or your hair's not doing what you wanted it to do. You know, we'll all, if you listen quietly to that inner voice, you'll be hearing those things. And we would never do that to somebody we loved, external of ourselves. We would never say that to a loved one. We would give them compliments. We would tell them how great they looked, how we can see what a difference they're making to their appearance if they're trying hard to be healthier and things like that. So the way we offer love to others should be what we offer to ourselves, and yet we so often don't. We so often really kick ourselves so hard in a way that we wouldn't dream of doing to anybody else. And that's really important, that we should offer ourselves the respect and love and kindness that we offer our friends and family and loved ones. And that is one of the keys to set in as a practice. And it's like anything that has to become a habit. You know, I think the numbers are, you know, it takes 21 days for something to become a habit, and 90 days for it to actually become set, is concrete, where you're naturally doing it without thinking. So there's a challenge. Wow, to actually start doing that every day for 21 days, starting off with something small every day and building up to it. So to truly love oneself, we've got to like ourselves. So that technique I've just talked about, instead of giving ourselves a hard time when we look in the mirror, or instead of giving ourselves a hard time when we think we haven't said something the way we should have, or the fact we haven't responded to something the way we thought we should, instead of giving ourselves a hard time, we really need to start finding those things to like about ourselves. But at the same time, having an awareness of our shadow selves and having a peacefulness awareness of that without kicking ourselves again. We've all got that shadow side, those sides of ourselves where we need to grow, where we're still living old patterns of behaviour that we're still working out how to change. And they can be anything, you know, maybe it's our lack of patience, our lack of confidence, we don't have an ability maybe to tolerate others. You know, there will be everybody will have their own unique set of things that are their shadow selves that they want to. We hope that you get to a point of self-love about yourself that you will want to work on those things and put the effort into changing them. But at the same time, because these things don't change like a light switch going on and off, having a peaceful acceptance of them. They're there and we all have them. It's the light and the dark, the yin and the yang. And quite often it's the tension of this shadow self and our light self, our yin and our yang, you know, that creates this drive forward that will result in things like self-love. So many things that can help us reset these subconscious brain patterns that we all have that quite often result in a lack of self-love. And that can be quite daunting. I've been in that place where I just think, well, how the hell, where do you start? What do you do? You know, it's so tempting just to have a quick fix, a quick pill, you know, something that's just going to do it all for you, or somebody's just going to tell you what to do, and you're going to read this amazing book and it's all going to be okay. And yeah, sorry guys, but that doesn't work. You have to do some really painful stuff. When I say painful, I can mean doing things that we're uncomfortable with. And that can be everything, in my experience, from Vipassana meditation, where you're silent with your own thoughts for long periods of time, but the natural benefit being that you're resetting and rewiring patterns in the brain. You're rewiring the neurons in the brain to reset those subconscious patterns. So you've got everything from all the different, there's so many different meditations that you can do, but Vipassana for me was the one that really made a difference to my format in my brain and thought patterns. But there's an inner child work, and coming back to our inner child and seeing who they were and holding them close and being able to understand what the inner script was of our formative years that is now still with us now and affecting our lives as adults. And all these things allow us to become this conscious human, living with a conscious attitude and a conscious awareness in our relationships and the way we move through the world. And it's all these sorts of things, when you build them all together and bring them together, and that can be with the help of conscious therapists like myself, or it can be through finding your own path and finding things like going to Vipassana meditation, or finding your own inner child meditations, or finding your own ways to rewrite your inner scripts from your past, so you're no longer repeating those same behaviours that are affecting all our relationships that we live day to day. Whether you find that path on your own, or whether you are the kind of person that needs somebody to guide you, mentor you, give you that warm, loving support, that connectedness that we all need as humans, that connectivity to create a mini community or even a larger community when we work in groups. But however you would get hold of that and use that for your own growth, it doesn't matter. It's taking that step, and you can do it. We all can do it. We all have got this ability inside of ourselves. We've got to scrape away the layers that have been built up over the years, and it's in there. I absolutely promise you, from a person who had such low self-esteem, had such lack of confidence and self-belief, and I'm not in that place today. And all of the things I've mentioned, let me know in the comments below, or send me a direct message through Instagram, Facebook, or on this YouTube comments page. Have a look at my website and send me an email. And if you'd like more information on some of the things I've mentioned and how to work through some of that stuff, and how working with me can help you get to that state of inner contentment and a state of liberation from all of this stuff that we hold on to, all of this baggage, then comment me if you'd like to know more about the inner child stuff, and I can maybe do some meditations online and post those, and I will go from there. Great, thanks guys.